Yo, what's happening, people? Okay, so today I want to talk now about Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 4 and Angel Season 1. Just got done watching both those shows. I watched them together, one after the other, and I did follow a watch guide, to get the right order, or what they believe is the right order to watch them in, so that some of the interlinked episodes, you kind of get the story a bit better. But yeah, I want to talk about it now. So, it's not quite a review. It's definitely not a reaction. It's just me dumping some thoughts on camera for however long this video is about two shows that are interlinked that I recently watched, and that's what I'm about to do. So what I'll say first, in fact, let me start at this. So the things that I liked about Buffy is that I feel like there's definitely been an improvement. I mean, I'll say there's been an improvement of the fighting from each season to the next season. But to me, I felt like season 4, between season 3 and season 4, that felt like the biggest jump in improvement in fighting, in Buffy's fighting in particular. I don't know whether that's because Sarah Michelle Gellar did more learning of the martial arts and practicing of the martial arts, and they were able to use her more in the scenes, or maybe they just learned how to edit it better with the stunt double. But whatever they did for this season, I felt like it looked a lot better on camera comparatively to what season 3 did. Season 3 had some cool stuff. I think season 2 had a few cool moments as well. But I think with season 3, there was like a lot of the stances were just too off. Like fight stances were just too off. And with season 4, it just seemed like there was a lot of improvement in the stance, in the fighting, and just the general hand-to-hand combat seems to improve a lot between season 3 and 4 for me. So that's good. Other things I liked was just generally what they did with the characters. I feel like Faith had a really good story between Buffy and Angel, from how she came out of the coma, and this whole thing about her not feeling like she doesn't belong in the world, and when she had the body swap. Oh, spoilers, by the way. Should probably point that out to begin with. There's gonna be spoilers in this video. But yeah, when she had the whole body swap thing, and at first she kind of thought it was a cool thing, she can get away with more stuff. But then I felt like what they did with that was actually really cool, because from the moment, I think it was Joyce, when she gave Faith a hug thinking that was Buffy, and then you could kind of see right away, Faith realizing this is what she's been missing, that she's had this hard life, that she's been through all this, having to fend for herself, having to deal, with people trying to take advantage of her, and just seeing really the bad side of humanity for such a long time, that perhaps part of her's forgotten that, it can be nice. And when she got that little taste of what it feels like to have people care about you, you can see that how she reacted. So I feel like what they did with Faith was really cool. And then Faith going from Buffy to Angel, when she shows up in the Angel show, and at that point she's getting recruited by, was it Wolfram and Hart, the lawyers, to go kill Angel, and she takes the job. But then you realize that she's not taking the job because she wants to kill Angel. She's taking the job because she wants Angel to kill her. She just wants an end to this whole thing. And it was, I would say that it did feel a bit corny on camera. She's going, I'm bad. It did feel a bit corny, but I could look past that. I could forgive that. It wasn't, it still worked for the show, and eventually she turns herself in. So I guess it's what happens with Faith. No spoilers, by the way. I might be giving out spoilers in this video. No spoilers for the following seasons. I still want to find out. But yeah, I liked that. That was really cool. Xander had a really interesting story as well, because he's the only one that didn't go to college, so he's kind of feeling left out to some degree. He still, of course, hangs out with the crew, and does what he needs to do with that. But you can tell that kind of is a thing. And when the Spike? Yeah, Spike's another interesting one. He's a bad kid. Spike's a bad one. But when he started planting the ideas in their head about what they're saying about him, and and others as well, it worked because they all had those kind of insecurities, from Xander to Willow to Giles. They all had these insecurities about how they felt. So when he was kind of planting these ideas, he wasn't telling them anything that they weren't thinking already. He just kind of amplified it a bit, to the point where now they're insecure, where they feel like their insecurities have kind of come to light. So how they how it's separated from them. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward, because they didn't really deal with it. I mean, they brought it up about, okay, yeah, these were things they were already feeling. Yeah, they did mention it, but it wasn't really dealt with. So we'll see if that's something that gets dealt with later on. What else? Anya's an interesting one. The sex fiend. Anya went from vengeance demon to sex fiend. Okay, wow, I can dig it. Well, I guess Xander's digging it really. Yeah, Buffy and Riley. That was pretty cool. It's kind of funny though. Well, funny for me because I'm a bit sick and twisted. But it seems every time Buffy does it with somebody, something bad happens. Like every time Buffy gets into that horizontal foxtrot, something bad happens. It's like, bro, you might want to keep them knickers up. You know what I mean? You might want to be careful about who you drop them panties for, because, bro, it's just like, was it Angel? Then he tried to kill her. Then Riley, and then the whole thing with the initiation and size. And it turns out Riley was a decent fella, but then the other time it's like, was it the house that they were in, because the kids that lived there before were under that strict teacher, not teacher, well, the person was looking after them, and she punished them for their sexual desires and that kind of thing. So they had all this repressed sexual energy. So when they were doing it was like the house tried to kill. It's like, bruh, listen, Buffy, you might want to keep your knickers up. I'm just saying you might want to consider, take a few considerations as to when, I'm just saying, for the sake of us all, we don't need houses trying to eat us. But yeah, I feel like what they did with the show with Buffy was pretty cool, in terms of they still kind of walked that line between comedy, drama, and horror. This season felt like it leaned more to the drama side of things, and personally I feel like that worked better for the show. It meant that when the humor came up, it felt more natural. With season 3, some of the humor, it just felt very out of place. Like, the jokes weren't necessarily bad, they just didn't feel like they fit in with the show, like the timing, the style of joke it was, and when they were doing it, and it just didn't work for me. Whereas this one, I felt like the humor felt more natural to the show, and because it was leaning more towards the drama side, it kind of, I felt like that made a better show in my opinion, because it kind of, I guess you could take it a bit more seriously. Whereas with previous seasons, in particular season 3, it's like they're trying to have these really dramatic moments, and they throw in this really awkward joke, and it just kind of like, it just doesn't land. Whereas this one, I felt like the jokes, the humor, the seriousness, the drama, the horror, it all kind of blended more naturally for me. So yeah, I think that's an improvement as well. And then with Angel was kind of like, from the jump, it just went straight into this much darker territory. It was darker in tone, darker in story, in characters. The people they're dealing with are just going through much harder situation, more kind of real life situation. Not that, I guess, I mean, it's all real life situations. I mean, college is real life too, but in terms of like, just where you don't always have a support system, so they're dealing with people who don't always have people to turn to, and the cops can't always help with certain things, right? So that Kate's character was quite interesting, because she comes in it and she's very much sees Angel as this cool guy that's helping her out with the detective work, but he can maybe do things that they can't do, so he helps in that way. But then when she finds out that he's a vampire, that whole thing kind of shifts, because now she's trying to rid the city of his kind. But maybe we should start with him though. I'm just saying, standing right in front of this guy, I want to rid the city of your kind. It's like, you had a clear shot to just stab him right there, but you didn't take it. Like, come on. But her whole arc about, we get to see with her and her father, and her father retiring, and how they did that episode where they were telling, with a stick, where they had to like share their feelings, and although it was done so they could make the cops, weaker and less likely to see what's really going on, some truth came out in that, right? And I think that's kind of the interesting fact of it, is that, something being used against you. And I guess similar to what they did with Buffy and the whole, and Spike kind of plants those seeds, something being used against you, but there is truth in there, and that's what makes it interesting, because you can't just dismiss it and go, oh yeah, it was some bad guys tricking us. It's like, well, yeah, but there's some truth in there. Like, she has felt this whole thing towards her father, like felt like he hasn't really supported her, or hasn't really been a father to her, just very distant ever since their mother died. And then he ends up dying, right? He ends up getting killed by the vampires. So she has love for her father and respect for her father, but it's hard to feel that when you have somebody is so kind of cut off with his emotions, and dare I say, I think a lot of us feel something like that, whether it's with our families or people around us, where you care about them, you love them, and they love you, but it doesn't always feel that way, and sometimes you just need something to feel what it really is. And I guess Kate never really got that, at least not after her mother died, and then now her father dies, and it's like, you ever have those moments where, for those of you who maybe lost somebody, like you feel like, you know that they cared about you, but you just never really felt it, and yeah, so that was that was a deep one. So we'll see how that develops. I would say my gripe, and going into some of the things that I didn't like with Angel, I'll say my biggest gripe with the show, not the show Angel, not so much character. Actually, I'll come back to the character in a moment. Let me talk about the show for now. My biggest gripe with the show is Cordelia, because Cordelia was one of my favorite characters on Buffy, and her whole kind of rich girl, airhead, very self-centered character, that worked very well in Buffy, and it fit there, it worked there. Her whole kind of self-centeredness worked there. And although that's the type of person you wouldn't want to hang around too much with in real life, right? You wouldn't really. I feel like if you know somebody like that in real life, they'll just annoy you. It's kind of like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. It works for a TV show. The character works for a TV show, or that TV show in particular. But if you knew somebody like that in real life, they would just annoy you. And Cordelia's like that. I feel like she's the type of character that works well in this show as that character. But if you knew someone like that in real life, you'd probably like slapping them. And I'll come back to talking more about slaps in a moment. But when they moved her to Angel, it's like, okay, she moves to LA because she wants to become an actress. Makes sense for her character, so that's cool. But then it turns out it's not what she thought it would be. She's struggling as an actress. She's living in this really dingy apartment. And the gripe that I have is that her character went through next to no development. So she goes through the hardship of being an actor, of living in this dingy place, of finding a much nicer place, but having to deal with this ghost that, the ghost of a mother that tried to, or did kill her own son, and the ghost of the son still hanging behind. Doyle, the guy that really liked her, that she ends up caring about as well, and dies, sacrifices himself to save, the other demons, so she's got that heartache. She goes through getting beaten up by Faith, and just all the general things of having the visions that Doyle left with her, seeing all the pain that everyone else is going through. And it's like after all goes through all that, and her character just stayed pretty much the same, just same kind of airhead type character. And I was like, it for me, it just did not work with the show. Like, it worked in Buffy, it didn't work with Angel. And I was like, yeah, so she went from one of my favorite characters to just like parts of it made sense. Her moving to LA made sense. Her trying to be an actress made sense. But then her staying in this very kind of ditzy, airhead, self-centered character, it didn't make sense for me. Like, especially after she's going through all these, like, this is real life now. This is what it's like now. This isn't high school anymore. It's not even college. This is what your life is like, and dealing with these things is what going to happen. And throughout none of it, it's like there was next to no change. Sometimes it felt it's going to be a little bit, but no, back to being in their head. And it wasn't until the end where the demon thingy McThingy made her see all the people's visions all at once, and then she was in hospital like freaking out for the longest time. And it's only after that she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm the new Cordelia now," and that was the old Cordelia, and I'm the new Cordelia. So I guess maybe it's going to develop more into season 2 with that. But it just kind of felt like, bruh, really? After everything, we're just going to keep her the same? And especially when you look at Wesley, who came in a few episodes in, and he'd already been on his own journey off camera, so he already had some development. But even when he comes in, he's still kind of this, little bit bumbling, a little bit incompetent, type character. Doesn't really recognize, or at least are not fully recognizing where he's messing up. Calling himself the rogue vampire slayer. But then, I think very quickly, like I think maybe the first or second episode that he's in, he has that change where he's kind of realizing that how he's been, and he has that awakening of, he was telling people that he left the Watchers Council. He was like, nah, they fired me, and they were right to fire me. I had 2 Watchers under my care, and I messed up, and even this, I messed up. And then you see his development, and he still maintains some of his character, which is fine, but he has a very clear change, and I felt like that worked so much better for the show than what they did with Cordelia. I felt like what they did with Wesley, they should have done with Cordelia, and they had more time to do it with Cordelia. And they didn't, and they don't necessarily have to change her character completely, but certainly have some kind of development in that, this is serious now. I mean, it was serious before, but this is, it's a darker tone. It's a new city. She's away from her parents. She doesn't have her daddy's money. There's so many things that are happening that you'd think would create an awareness of her situation, and throughout all it was just nope. And not until the end, at least. So yeah, that's my biggest gripe with the show with Angel, is that they just had no development for Cordelia, and it's not they can't do it, because they did it with Wesley, but none with Cordelia, at least not until the end. And by then it's like, bruh, I like the new guy they brought in as well, Gunn. They brought him in towards the end, but he was a pretty cool character. It was sad what happened to him though, when he had to his sister get sent to a vampire, and you could just see the pain in his face when he had to stake her, and it was like, mate, oof, big oof. But yeah, I liked that character, so hope we'll see more of him in the coming seasons. And speaking of, there was that slap. Someone talked about that slap. So yeah, when Buffy turned up in Angel, and what was it? They had some argument about something or other, and then she slaps him, and without hesitation, man just slapped her right back, and Buffy was like, "You hit me." Like, yeah, you hit him first. And then man was like, hey, and need I remind you that you're actually stronger than me? So it's like, yeah, you can't be turning up in man's yard and just start slapping man up and thinking that he ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, I know there's this whole thing about, you're not supposed to hit women, which, it's true, you're not supposed to hit women, and let's take it a step further than that. You shouldn't hit anybody, okay? Not just women, anybody. But I get it. It's kind of that society thing about you're not supposed to hit women, and that's the thing. If you get a slap, you just take it. But some guys just don't like that. And if you're a 200-plus-year-old vampire, you're probably kind of like not on that thing. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's like you get slapped, you slap back. So yeah, I kind of laughed. Not even kind of laughed. I did laugh when that happened. Like I laughed out loud when that happened. I'm not sure if that was the intended reaction from the showmakers, but yeah, I laughed out loud when he slapped. Because the man did not hesitate. It wasn't even like, let me think about this for a second. No, man just like straight away, like. But he goes back into he turns up in Buffy, and he apologizes, gets into that little tussle with Riley. Let's talk about Riley for a little bit now, actually, because he is a cool character, I think. The whole thing about the initiative, and he's working under the professor, and she ends up getting killed by Adam. Adam was a cool bad guy as well. And Riley, he seems like, I guess he wants to do the right thing as his character. And then he had that chip in his chest where Adam was able to control him, at least to some degree. But I would say that, although he's a cool character, I did feel there was some missed opportunities, like, especially when and Buffy didn't know he was with the initiative, and he doesn't know that it's Buffy, like sort of in the early episodes. So Buffy's kind of fighting against this guy, and they don't know that she's also there fighting these demons. I feel like there's a lot more they could have done that, where they could have built up some real hatred between Buffy and this initiative guy, and the whole time they don't know that they're dating outside of it, and it just felt like they could have really emphasized that. So by the time I do find out about it, it's just like real awkward. Whereas the way they went about it, it wasn't bad, but man, I just felt like it was such a missed opportunity to create some real tension in their relationship going afterwards, and having to get them to work through that. Where like maybe I don't know, they get into some real hard fighting, punching, bruised, bloody, and then they find out later that it's like, oh, but oh well. Willow, she had a development as well. Willow had some development. With Oz, actually a lot they did with Oz actually, because the whole thing about the werewolf, and when that girl turned up in the band and he just felt calling to her, and then you found out later because they're both werewolves, but she was like very much embracing the werewolf side of her, whereas Oz is trying to kind of control it, but he kind of realized that the werewolf is always a part of him, and until he knows what that means, he couldn't be around Willow anymore, so he ends up leaving and going on his own personal journey. And then in that time, Willow moves on to Tara. So by the time Oz comes back and he's like, he's learned to control it a bit better. He could be out in the moon. He's done all his meditation, but it turns out that there's still things in it where he's not in full control of, and that made sense to me. Like because things like love are strong emotions. So though like he was able to trade himself to some degree, when he's around someone he cares about, especially when he sees that person moving on, and it's like, yeah, that's gonna stir up some things, and now he's not in control anymore. Not as in control as he wants to be. So in the end, he had to just leave again, and they rescued him from the initiative. Boy, that was a close one. Yeah, he had to leave again and just go on his thing. And Tara, yeah, I would say that with the whole thing with Willow and Tara, I wouldn't say that I saw it coming right from the beginning. Because Willow's kind of like, here's what I'm trying to say. Mess up my words too much. Willow was kind of like the character in Xena. I can't remember her name right now, but the one that's not Xena. And I don't watch Xena a lot, but I do seem to have a memory of that Xena and her becoming more than friends. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember that. But yeah, I only watch Xena kind of sparingly. But yeah, Willow was kind of like that character. So like, I wouldn't say that I called it right away, but I kind of thought that, if they were going to do something like that, it might have been more like Willow and Buffy, rather than Willow and, somebody else. So not quite called it, but yeah, kind of. But yeah, when they introduced Tara, like it was clear that Tara liked Willow. It wasn't maybe as clear that Willow liked Tara back, at least not to me anyway. But when it became clear to me that it was a two-way street was when they were in the room and they were talking about Tara said something like, "You never introduced me to your friends," and she was like, "It's not I don't want to. I just like having something that's just me. It's all to me." And she's like, "Yeah, I understand." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, they both like each other. they both like each other more than just friends. They both like spending time together and doing spells, and yeah, they like each other." It became very clear then. But it was interesting though, because like lesbian relationships, pretty much that's how they handled it back then, as I remember. You didn't have, I don't know if there was many gay relationships, like boy relationships in TV shows that, I'm sure there was at least some, but I can't remember it being, there was definitely more lesbian relationships, if memory serves correctly, but we are talking about stuff more than 20 years ago, so I may be misremembering things, and perhaps I just watched the lesbians more, so that could be just it. That might be just it. But yeah, from what I remember, that's kind of how they handled it. Like these days, you'd have all the kissing and the touching and everything, but back then it was all just they'll mention it, they'll say it, they'll hold hands maybe, but yeah, they'll never say anything more than that. And how much of that was down to the actors themselves, just not being comfortable kissing another girl, and versus how much of that is down to maybe the censor board at the time just saying nope, we'll never know. Maybe it's a combination of the two, right? But yeah, that's pretty much how a lot of these things are handled. Like they'll say it, they'll maybe stand close to each other and slight brushes of things and stuff like that, but you'll never see the actual kiss. At least in most shows anyway, you'll never see the actual kiss or anything more than just say holding the hands and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was like, okay, watching the show was like, okay, yeah, that's how they did it back then. A lot of implication, but yeah, no actual. What else that I would say? Yeah, so another kind of gripe I have with both shows is that it does feel like Buffy and Angel, the characters Buffy and Angel, they do kind of come across as a little bit too perfect at times. And they're not perfect, they do have flaws, and their flaws do come up, they make mistakes and get things wrong, and that's good, that's fine, because, you can't really, you can have a perfect character, but in most cases it's just pretty boring. But yeah, at times it does feel like they're a little bit too perfect. Like, I feel like, their flaws come sometimes a bit too few and far between. And sometimes it feels like especially with Buffy, sometimes it feels like, she's figuring stuff out where you're like, really? You figured that out? But I guess it's a minor detail, like I say, they do have flaws, they do get things wrong, but maybe just for me at least, it feels a little bit too far between. And in that time, it's like they're just a little bit too perfect, but not enough to call them Mary Sue's, but just almost bordering along that line. But yeah, I'd say overall, both shows were good. I enjoyed watching both shows. I would say after watching them though, because I did follow the watch guide, I'm not sure if you have to watch them in any particular order. Of course it helps with certain episodes, but I think for the most part they do the previously on Buffy or previously on Angel and that side of stuff anyway. So you're pretty much caught up, with what you need to know if you hadn't watched them, and I guess whichever order you watch them in is fine in the end, really. But yeah, the order that I watched it in, I guess it just meant that you get a little bit more context of what happened going in. But yeah, I think for them, they pretty much they don't rely too much on you having to have seen the episodes. Like I think you can just watch one of the seasons and you're good to go, and then maybe watch another one some other time. And I don't think it matters a great deal. But yeah, no, that I did enjoy them both. Still, yeah, looking forward to season 5 now of Buffy and season 2 of Angel. Oh, speaking of endings, by the way, I would say that ending of Buffy did feel a bit weak. And it was interesting because, or interesting to me because I actually liked the episode. The whole thing about the first the first Slayer, coming into their dreams and, causing havoc and messing things up, causing all kinds of mess inside their heads, within the dream world. And it made sense story-wise because it happened after they combined all their powers. I don't know what powers combined. If you get that reference, put it in the comments. But yeah, they combined all their powers, so that happened after that, so they'd combine all their powers so they could defeat Adam. And, when she rips his power source out like Kano, to finally defeat him. So it makes sense story-wise in the order in all of the events that things were happening. And like I said, it was a really good episode. I actually did like that episode. It was really cool. I feel like what they did with it. But it just felt like, for me, if they ended with the episode where they defeat Adam, that would have been a stronger ending for the season. And an episode like the Dream episode, what do they call it? Dream, a Little Dream. I can't remember what they call that episode. But anyway, that episode 22, had they did something like that during during season 5, I feel like that would have been a better way of doing it, and because episode 21, that in my opinion was a strong ending for the season. And then whereas this episode 22, although it was a good episode, that felt like that should have been more of a mid-season episode, like something that you get maybe at episode 4 or 5 of season 5, you know what I mean, something like that, or maybe in the first episode of season 5, that felt like it should have been that kind of thing. And whereas the way they did it, it had this really strong ending with it defeat Adam, and it had this cool episode afterwards, but I don't know, it just felt like that was a weaker ending than episode 21 would have been. But oh well, it's done now. It's done now. And yeah, with the ending of Angel, where is it? Oh, that guy Angel, actually, the lawyer Wolfman Hart, he was pretty interesting as well. Where he had second thoughts, and then, well, he went back. But I like that though, because like sometimes, or at least oftentimes, when they do these things where the bad guys have a second thoughts, they just become a good guy, and it's all good from there on out. I like that this guy really, at least it seemed like he really wanted to change. He really wanted to have nothing to do with Wolfman Hart anymore, and he really wanted to switch sides. But when they offered him that bigger, more money and the office and everything else, and it's just like, you know what, I'm gonna take this. That his boss man was like, yeah, I see the potential in you, and I'm gonna reward that and recognize that, and give you this whole new office, rather than fire him or having him killed like they killed the other guy. Like, bruh, you know what I mean? That guy that Sheldon Cooper looking dude, like they just shot him in the head because he was planning on leaving, right? And he planned on taking some clients with him, whereas this guy arranged for like some things to get stolen. The Angel ended up stealing that scroll with the prophecy on it as well, that they needed to, for the other demon to do whatever he needed to do. So he did a lot worse. That guy, like Lindsay, did a lot worse than a Sheldon Cooper looking dude, and like they gave him a promotion. Like, I get that, okay, he showed initiative, but isn't the Sheldon Cooper looking guy, wasn't he showing initiative by like, you know what, I'm gonna use what I've learned here, I'm gonna take some of these clients. It's like, nah, you give him a promotion and kill Lindsay, because what Lindsay did was far worse. I mean, yeah, it shows some kind of initiative, and yeah, you want that on your side, but he's a liability. You know what I mean? Lindsay is a liability. It's like, there's a point you have to understand. It's like, okay, if you want somebody on your side, right? Because if they are on your side, they can help excel where you want to be. But when you realize that this person isn't really operating under your values, then they're a liability. Like, dude, how are you gonna kill one guy that was less of an issue and promote the guy that is more of a problem? Like, come on, make it make sense. But yeah, I feel like I like what they did with Lindsay though, because it's like, bro, I mean, how many people wouldn't? Let's be honest. Like, you get offered more money, how many of us wouldn't? I mean, we all like to say that, yeah, we'll do the right thing and we'll turn down the money. But if you're actually in that situation, that'd be a tough choice. And let's be honest, some of us would take it and smile. You know what I mean? We'll take that bigger paycheck and smile. So I ain't saying he made the right choice. I'm just saying I understand. But yeah, it was a cool character. I like what they did with him, and then he gets his hand chopped off, but he ain't dead. So hopefully we'll be seeing more of Lindsay and his shenanigans in season 2 of Angel. Yeah, Doyle was a cool character to the beginning. It was kind of sad. Well, not kind of. It was sad when he died, because it was really just kind of him and Cordelia finally kind of getting to a point where they could maybe even be something. But the way he just ended it though, when he just said, it's a shame we'll never know if you could ever learn to love a face like this, and he turns into a demon form and jumps into the lights and he dies. I would say that though, that bit where you punched out Angel, and Angel kind of falls off into that thing, I was like, nah, you didn't. I mean, to be fair, they don't really talk about Doyle's strength, right? At least I don't think they do. I don't think they talk about Doyle's strength. So maybe, just maybe, part of his demon ability, and I think they do, actually no, I think he is stronger in demon form. I think they do say that. I think they do say that he is stronger in demon form, but I don't think he has any particular super strength, at least as far as I'm aware, and maybe he does, and I just missed it. But if I remember correctly, I need to double check this before I say it too much, but if I remember correctly, he was in human form when he punched out Angel. And then he turns into demon form when he jumps into the light. So I was kind of like, nah, you didn't punch out Angel. You didn't punch out Angel. Nah. I mean, I get it. It works for the story, plot convenience, blah, 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 blah. I get it, but still, you didn't punch out Angel. Like, the way they built up Angel to take... I mean, he took Buffy's slap, right? And Buffy is much stronger and got to be much stronger than Doyle, right? And he took Buffy's slap, and it was just like a move of the head. You didn't punch out Angel. Come on, man. I'm not sure Doyle's punch, especially in human form. He wasn't in human form. I'm pretty sure he was in human form. But even in demon form, let's assume he was in demon form. Is he really strong enough to punch Angel out that far back? I don't know, man. I don't know, because, I mean, to be fair, I don't think they explain much about his actual strength, so just maybe he is. But I don't know, man. I felt they should have, like, maybe had something more prior to that to emphasize his strength, whether as in human form or in demon form, to make that punch a bit more believable. But yeah, I'm not sure I believe he punched Angel out that far. I'm like, seems a bit convenient. You know what I mean? It's a little bit too convenient. But I don't know. Maybe I missed something. That could be it. That could very well be it. You know, I mean, you watch stuff. Sometimes you miss things. It happens. So maybe there was something there and I missed it. Right? And if there was, you can let me know. But yeah, no, both shows were good. I'm looking forward to the next seasons. Try and get to those in the next, whenever I can get to those. Is there anything else I need to say before I end this video? No, I think I've covered everything I want to say. I've probably forgotten something, but I'm sure. But I think I've covered most, if not all, of what I want to say. So let me know what you think. Are you 5x5 with the show, or with the seasons, or are you, I don't know, what's the opposite of 5x5? I don't know. 1x5, 2x5, 6x6. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I like them both. I don't know if I think 5x5. At least the impression that I got with it is a way of saying things are great. You know, never better. Like saying 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10. I'm guessing that's what it means. I'm not sure I'd say Buffy and Angel were 5x5 as shows. Maybe 4x5, right? You know, 3.5, 4x5. About there. But still pretty good, still pretty enjoyable, and yeah, still looking forward to the next season. But anyway, I've been rambling for long enough, so yeah, let me know what you think of the shows. Let me know if I've missed anything, because I probably have missed a bunch of stuff and forgotten about certain things, and that's why other things aren't making sense to me, and maybe I should watch them again at some point. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know. But that's what I remember after watching Buffy Season 4 and Angel Season 1. Those are some thoughts on it. But yeah, let me know what you think of the shows, what you think in general. Any suggestions, recommendations, send them through and I'll see what I can do. Like, share, subscribe, because we're doing this thing. More videos on the screen. Check out my other channels as well, be much appreciated. But that's going to be it for the minute. So guys, until whenever, if ever, peace.